pages 68 through 71 by John Hardy, Hunter Kies, Samantha Emrich, Portia Astucia, and Katherine Fischera.
Alcide's 2 daughters were given to a king to marry off to his 2 sons. The palace was decorated with purple cloth and beads in preparation. The heirs of Carrion came to visit and entered the palace. They bowed to the king as they entered. The king called for his daughters and presented them to the heirs. Then he handed them over to marry the heirs of Carrion. The heirs left the palace quite happy and content with their brides. They were all at St. Mary's to see the wedding. Bishop Jerome prepared the wedding for them in his honor. Alcide gave his blessings to his hijas bonitas, and they got married. Después de la boda, after the wedding, they left the church quickly. Alcide was happy that his daughters were now married. Then they went to the after party. Alcide's daughters had a great party and honeymoon. The party lasted for a whole 15 days. They received expensive gifts from the guests who attended the wedding. They got things like fur capes, cloaks, and other expensive goods. They also received money from the guests along with the presents. The daughters even gave gifts to the guests of the wedding as well. The party eventually ended, and all the guests left the party feeling bien y feliz. The guests complimented and they said that they had a great tiempo. Alcide and his hijos-in-law stayed in Valencia. They stayed there for 2 años. Alcide and his vassals were welcomed into the city. They were feliz. Cantar 3, the attack of corpse. One night, Alcide was descanso with his men and hijos-in-law, the heirs of Carrion. Alcide was descanso when a lion broke out of its cage. All of Alcide's men were frightened, and they gathered around Alcide and took up arms. Alcide's hijos-in-law, Fernando and Diego Gonzalez, were so scared they tried to correr. "Whoa, Carrion, no more shall I behold," yelled Diego. His screams woke Alcide, and he asked, "Now what is this, my henchman? What is it that ye would?" "Ha, worthy lord, the lion gave us a fearful fright," replied the henchman. Alcide got up and headed straight for the lion, and the lion retreated in miedo. The lion sat in front of Lord Cid and was dragged back into his cage. Alcide walked out into the hall and scanned for his sons-in-law, but no one answered. Last he could remember, he had seen them with their cheeks very pale because they had been captured by the enemy troops of King Bucar. Alcide and his men traveled to a quarter field camp with 50,000 strong. Alcide called upon all of his assistants, counselors, and henchmen to discuss the reward for such safe passage. But they knew the forces of Carrion were growing sore because they saw their enemies' tents. All of their soldiers were just focused on making a profit, and they did not want to fight again. Soon, Cid heard what the enemy was saying. Widows will be the daughter of the Lord Carrion. He laughed and said, "The 2 heirs, thy sons-in-law, their courage is so strong because they go to battle. Carrion they long." Alcide said to his men, "As God cherishes and keeps them, go bid them good heart." Also to his henchmen he said, "Relax in peace, fight in war, and God we will conquer." His sons were rescued from the enemy tents. And later on, Alcide and his sons were talking about how they loved Valencia and wanted to stay. But King Bucar, leader of the enemy forces, sent a message commanding Alcide to go his own way and get out of Valencia. Alcide wanted to stay, so he said that he would give the king what he asks. So the king asked him to attack the Moors, and a day later he got his weapons and the 2 armies advanced towards each other. The drums filled with sounds had affected some, and they were on their way.